All right, well here we are again, another beautiful day in paradise. Working on a Jd990 here. We're getting ready to pull this right side down of this rear axle. As you can kind of see in here, this guy's leaking, so I got to figure out why. I got to replace that seal. I should have all the parts for it, but I'm gonna pull this wheel off, pull this axle out, and show you what the inside looks like, and go from there. I'll let you know how this goes in a minute. I guess you'll see part two real quick. All right, so I got the wheel off and the mounting brackets off, and now I'm gonna clean all this crap off while it's all still together. I always want to have a clean work environment when you open these things up, so you have less of this crap getting stuck in the internal. We got all the hydraulic oil drained out of this guy. It's real sweet having onboard air on my truck. Yeah. Alright, let's get this baby open. Alright, so I got the axle off of the one side. Not the easiest thing to get access to, but I got it out. Here's your disc brakes. And now what I got to do is I actually got to take this over to the truck. And I got to take all the guts out of this thing so I can take this cover and slide the whole axle shaft out. And then we'll get it put back together. But I'll take it over there, open it up, and like show you a little bit of what it looks like, alright? Alright, here we are. So I picked this hunk of metal up. Honestly, weighs about 200 pounds at least. God, it was awful to pick up and carry over here by myself. But I did it. I mean, that's like a get hurt on the job kind of moment right there, but oh well. So I got this guy over here. I got all the hardware out. If you noticed before, there was like the brake discs, and there's your friction plates, and there's your fiber discs. So it's just like a wet clutch on a motorcycle, except it's a wet brake. Then you had your Planetary gears, and then here's your ring gear that transfers all the energy to the center. So what it is, I took this big old bolt out the center. That's right there. And then now what I should be able to do is lay this on side and tap it out. There's no snap ring or nothing retaining it. And then I took these cover bolts out around the plate, and that should just knock right out, and then we'll see what we got after that. Get this axle out and do that. Obviously I have to put the camera down every time I need to do something because I only have two hands. What I did is I put a pry bar right here. Actually kind of tapped on this, wiggled this plate loose, pried it out. Now there's your end bearing. There's your other end bearing. As you can see, the shaft's almost out. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of give it a push, kind of give it a pry. Oh, don't roll away. Come on now, you want to have fun. Yeah, and then I'm just going to pry this guy right out, just like that. See if I can't, I don't know how much of this you can see, but I'm going to try something new here. What I need to do is kind of pull this guy apart, try to keep it as clean as possible. Although when you do field repair work, you can almost never keep it perfectly clean, but I got to do my best here because I really don't want all this to be full of dirt and then wreck something else. I'm going to slide this guy out. There's your axle shaft. This is your axle housing. I'll grab a fresh paper towel here, clean my hands off, make sure the housing's clean. I'm gonna set this guy to the side like this. Yeah. Not bad. It's all still pretty clean. So what I gotta do is, I don't know if you can see this, but over here I've got to I got to clean this gasket surface off, and all this side I got to clean that gasket surface off, and then I gotta take this cover out, pull this bearing, all that kind of stuff somehow, and then I got to pull that cover out and hammer a new seal into that. So that's, I guess, gonna be my next big adventure. Just kidding, it just comes right off. I just had to get a little blade under that guy and come on now. Don't make me look stupid on camera. Take my pry bar off. Come on, bud. You got this. It's kind of where like 3 hands would be very beneficial in this case. There you go, just like that. This guy is off. I'm actually going to use this guy. Oh yeah, this is what caused. So this guy's been leaking. It's because somebody ran over a little piece of twine and it got stuck in the seal and it wouldn't let it seal anymore. Something as simple as that, guys. That's all it is. But at least I got a new seal. It's all apart. I'm going to clean this guy and make it good as new. Pop this guy off like this. There you go, just like that. Got the bearing out. You can see there's more of this twine stuff. And actually, don't worry about me hammering on this guy. It still works, but I actually have a brand new bearing for this anyway, just because I was anticipating the bearing being bad. Yeah, see, look at all that in there. See all that? It's looking real good. That's all the stuff you don't want to have in a seal. A seal's got to have a perfectly clean surface to mate against, keep the oil in, but with this kind of stuff, it's never going to do that. So I'm gonna hammer this seal out, hammer a new one in, call it good, and move on, and keep plugging away. All right, guys, here we're gonna try this again. We're gonna put this axle tube back together now. I gotta slide this guy in. I've cleaned it all, I've prepped it all, I've taken all the gasket off. I don't have another gasket for this side, but so I'm gonna use a extremely oil resistant, high performance Loctite black RTV silicone. That's good for these kind of applications, flanges, oils, that kind of thing. We're all clean, so I'm gonna wiggle this guy into place and see what happens. Hopefully nothing crazy. Put my 4 bolts in, I'll torque it down, and I'm gonna flip this thing up and reassemble the innards. I gotta clean all this gasket surface off too, so I'll do that before I go too far. I guess the neighbor's having problems with his dog. Bad dog. Anyway, okay. Get these guys tightened down. Doesn't have to be too tight. They're small bolts, so it doesn't have to be anything too crazy here. And I'm gonna go find a torque spec for this guy anyway in a minute. But generally something this small is not gonna be too tight. Pretty much if you can get it to be just past hand tight with a wrench like this, it's going to be plenty tight. It's not structural, it's just to hold the cover on, so it seals. Tighten that down. And I'm actually going to take my finger and run it across the seam here, smear out the silicone. Let it kind of makes a mess. Maybe it's not a good idea, I don't know. but it kind of fills in the crease even better than it normally would. So actually, screw that. I'm just gonna wipe it off. Change my mind. Clean all this guy down, just like that. Oh baby. There you go. Okay, so that's together. Now I gotta clean off all this gasket surface on this side. Then I can put the Planetary stuff together, and then from there I'm going to, I don't think I just screwed up my camera. Anyway, then I'll put all the insides together and then clean the housing on the tractor and then put it all back together. Okay, well, here we are again. I got everything clean, got the gaskets all scraped off of this guy, got it all wiped down, blew it out with some air. As always, you can't make everything perfectly clean in an outside environment, but we get it done as close as we can, kind of like that. Told you, can't make it clean, but at least that wasn't inside the housing. Get this guy cleaned up. And I see this guy, this bearing right here popped out, so I'm gonna knock it back into place. Man, I like that Coca-Cola, that was nice. There you go, dink. That's when you know it's good. When you get that one specific sound, kind of get the hang of it once you get into mechanics over a long period of time. You'll notice certain things like the specific sounds you want to hear and whatnot. As I clean up my fucking mess. Okay. Little Coca-Cola seasoning never hurt nobody. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take a clean paper towel, clean my hands off as best as I can. Now that I got that bearing in, it all spins nice and beautifully. A speck of dirt out. So first we have our Planetary, which is this guy. This little bolt right here. And there's a plate right in the center. And so this whole assembly right here kind of drops right over the axle. And then these gears will line up also. Kind of give it a little wiggle wiggle. Oh, there you go. There you go. Tink, tink, tink. Just like that. Once again, wipe down as much of this dustiness as you can out in the field. And then we're going to put our bolt back through it, get her tightened down. Doesn't have to be crazy tight, but we get it to be snug. That's probably about 100 pounds, 150 foot-pounds. And then there's actually a retainer, this guy right here. Let me check this camera. Yeah, you got this retainer guy. This goes right in here. And it actually has teeth in the center of it. I don't know if you can see that. And it actually locks the bolts in, so it can't actually rotate out of its place. It can't go too much. It can't go tighter and it can't go looser than a certain point. Just like that. Doesn't help I have an extension on that guy, but oh well. Okay, that's there. Now we got the tricky part. I got to put all these little steel balls back in their little hole here. This is your brake. Clean all your little crap off. Make sure there's no dirty stuff on it. Just like that. Then what you're gonna do is there's 2 springs. We're gonna line these guys up, just like so. And then I have to get tricky, try to figure out how to get this little spring to engage. So everything's cleaned and prepped. We're back over at the tractor. I got this cleaned off, and then I got a new gasket on there, as you can see, the gray thing. I use a little bit of that lacquer gasket sealant, this stuff right here. So you can see it. There you go. So I just put some dabs around it so that the gasket stays in place, kind of holds, it's kind of sticky. And then as I finagle this guy up in here, trust me, this thing is extremely heavy, and I don't know how I'm going to do it by myself, especially with this big old bar on, but I really don't want to dismantle the whole tractor and take the whole ROPS off. It came off, so I'm guessing it can go back in, but oh my goodness, is it heavy. So I have a jack and I have a jack stand, so it should be plenty supported. Plus the loader is pressing into the ground, so it's pretty damn stable, but this is not an easy task to do, and hopefully I can show you a little bit of it once it's in, but I can't really show you know, film and try to put it in. Plus I don't want anybody laughing at me for how hard this actually is to get back in by myself. So I'll see you guys in a minute. As you can see, the axle tube is back in, and it does. I got 2 bolts in it, one at the top, one at the bottom. And if you think that this is a pain in the ass to do, oh my God, you don't even know. This thing is so damn heavy and such a hard thing to maneuver in here. But as you can see, I did not take the ROPS off, and it came out and it went in. Not easy, but it did. So I'm gonna put all these bolts in, tighten it all up, and then get the wheel on and fill with hydraulic oil and get out of here, go home. So thank you. There you go, kids. It's all put back together, wheels on, everything's torqued down. I'm about to fill it up with hydraulic oil again, but there it is, all clean, new seal, new bearing and everything. So this tire was very difficult to get on by myself also, just because it weighs like 300-400 pounds with it filled with ballast, maybe even more. But it's all doable if you know what you're doing. So take care. Hope you had fun. Ask me any question you want.